welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition, to another installment of hashtag Fade the Black. I am your host, Donnell Lamonte Morris. I'm here with Anita Joke, aka Teach, and Mr. O. How
Good
y'all doing?
evening.
Good
We're doing
evening.
okay.
All right.
I
Mr.
hope
O, you
you.
have to share in the libations.
Yeah, I know.
Yes. Okay, you want to see it? Okay, here is it. Okwane boy, Seoro Bomiori. That's
And,
it.
and the crazy thing is, I was just thinking about some wine, not wine, but bourbon the other day, because I told Beach Johnson that I found these two brothers that actually started their own bourbon company out in Kentucky, and they finally are at Trader Joe's. But other than that, let's dive into our favorite part of the show, opening statements. And Mr. O, you will start it off.
Good evening. There is a new world order which is fighting to own the whole world. They want to reduce the population of the world from 7 billion to 800 millions. They will start by slowly exterminating the blacks, then the Latinos, and before going to other parts of the world, because both blacks and Latinos, we are a headache for them. It is left for us, black people, to identify well our enemies, because many who say they are friends, they are even worse than our enemies. Our survival depends today on us and not others. So I hope we wake up and stand up for our rights and for ourselves and for our rights to life. Thank you. That's my opening statement.
Jumbo, Habarigani, Nangadef. Hello and welcome again to another Fade to Black podcast. I appreciate the words that Mr. O spoke. And there's a saying that your culture is your immune system and your first line of defense. And as we as Africans have been scattered throughout the whole world, we have lost contact with our culture. But the ancestors are wise. If that African DNA is in your blood, if you quiet your mind and quiet your heart, you will hear the voice of the ancestors. And they are saying, rise, my son, my daughter who lives afar. They're saying, rise and reconnect to your brothers and sisters that's on the continent. And when you reconnect, you will be given the power that was stripped from you. And you will bring with you the knowledge of the lands that you were taken from, that you're coming from actually. And with that knowledge and the ancient knowledge that's enshrined in the DNA of those left back on the continent, that message is to go forth and seek that new glory, create that new glory for the African. As we see our world in chaos, there is a peace that is being shared throughout the world. And those that are tapped into their spirit, they understand that peace. You know, we suffered through World War I and World War II. And we're sitting on the edge of our seat, anticipating World War III. But one place that people are not looking is that World War III is a spiritual battle. It is a battle between good and evil. And only those that take the time to listen with their ears, to listen with their heart, and listen with their mind, will they understand this battle. So let's sit back and enjoy the show.
Which had me, I'd like to start off with this. This actually goes out to Beast Johnson. See, I'm the only one when it comes to opening statements, I do something entirely different from opening statements. So this goes out to Beast Johnson. I told him that I was going to give him a call over the weekend. So here's my explanation. Went on a hike, and in hiking, when you got your cell phone on you, I'm like, look, I'm going to go ahead and make this call. No service. And by the time we got back, it was late as hell. We went all the way to northern Washington up here for hiking. So I want to bring up the network because that's been going through my mind this whole entire week. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, you just don't know. You just don't know what me and Beast Johnson got going for y'all. That's going to happen. Also, this show is going to be up on there. But here's another great thing. I actually met a Black business owner the other day. Just by mistake. I mean, I was going to Big Lots. He was actually coming from the hiking. And his business name is called Cheddar Boy Popcorn. The website is cheddarboypopcorn.com. So I'm giving them free publicity. And it comes in different flavored popcorn. So I saw that. I walked up in the store and I saw the lady with the shirt on. So I was sitting there. I was waiting to talk to her, but she was busy talking to the cashier. Then her husband comes up and I was like, I saw him with the shirt and I said, excuse me, sir. I said, what type of business you running? He was like, well, we run popcorn and all that stuff. And I told him about the show. I even told him about the network. I told him about the Wet Network. And I asked him, I said, what inspired you to do this business? He basically said he started when this pandemic started. He said, I just got on my grind. He said, I just couldn't just sit here and just let this pandemic just run me crazy. So him and his wife decided to start a popcorn business. He said ever since he started, he not only get business here locally or statewide, he's getting it all over the country. And he said the shipments have been so wild that they had to come to Big Lots to get like bigger containers so he could hold all the popcorn and all that stuff. So I told him I would give his information. I told him me and him exchange information, and he's probably going to be on this show, so look out for that. So you're saying, Morris, what does that have to do with your opening statements? Just like me and Beast Johnson with the Wet Network, and this man with his business and popcorn. The grind don't stop. Everybody need a starting point. Everybody need that spark. They need that flame to be like, you know what? I'm sick and tired by, working my 9 to 5. I want to do something where I make the shots, where I'm the boss, where I can make my own money and that I don't have to answer to nobody. Now, sometimes it would take for you to still be on your 9 to 5 to fund your business. And then also don't get the word boss mixed up. You can't be a boss if you're not making your own money and not writing your own check. Because somebody have to write you the check on what they think you earned or what you should be making, you're not a boss. And me, I love money. I love money. I ain't gonna lie about it. I love it. But if I'm not writing the checks or writing the own amount that I believe that I need to earn, I'm not a boss. So remember that. So we hear all these people say, I'm a boss, I'm this, I'm that. Just ask them, When the last time you ever written a check to yourself? When the last time you never have to ask somebody how much you want, how much you're worth? You tell them that. And that, in the words of Teach, I yield the floor.
Good evening. I'm gonna take a lighter approach in my opening statement and kind of recycle what I've always said. Little mantra: live. Life is levity. Live for the laugh. Never be scared to chuckle and understand that a well placed laugh, a well placed moment of levity can diffuse an awkward situation or a hostile situation. It could reassess people's perception of you at that moment and overall change the complexion and dynamic of not just the situation, but the individuals involved. As we deal with this more apparent racism, let us know that racism is based in ignorance. And when you expose most ignorance, it's kind of funny. So when you hear people make ignorant rhetoric and racist rhetoric, don't just call them out on it. Make light of it. Find the joke out of it. Get them to find the joke out of it. Let them see how stupid it really is. I often use that when it comes to racist terms and racist phrasing. Like, just be honest. Who was the first person to say spear chucker is evil and negative? Or what is the racial connotation of a wetback or a Mexican bean? As you see, my dog wants to show a little attention. Yes, I'm doing business. Thank you. As I was saying, you gotta find the joy in things. Don't take things so serious. Find the laugh, and you'll get closer to learning how to love. And I yield the floor.
My opening statement is something I've been thinking about all weekend. And it goes to our society about taking things too personally. I watched this show. I've probably missed one show, but I've watched pretty much all of them. And I had one moment of weakness where through history, I don't know if it was Teach or I can't remember who was speaking, but I had made a comment that I'd like to apologize for because I shouldn't have made it, because I shouldn't have to make it, because it comes down to me. And this is what I'm telling to everybody else on the planet that's white and trying to understand what's going on. I had said on the podcast in the comment, can we clarify that we're talking about these white people over here? And my opening statement is, don't take shit to heart. All these comments and everything flying around about white people, don't take it to heart. If you know you're a good person, which I am, if you know you're cool, which I know I am, just look at the screen and go, motherfucker ain't talking about me. I know who he's talking about, but he's not talking about me. And when I meet the person he's talking about, I, like B said, I might laugh with him a little bit, but I'm gonna call him the hell out on it. So don't take it to heart. Roll with it. If you know you're cool and you know you do the right thing for everybody and everybody you meet, don't take it personally. Just listen and hear. Don't take it as a personal attack, because it's not you. It's the system, the broad system, whatever it may be, but it's not you. Don't take it personally. Now, if you are one of the assholes out there, take it personally, because they're talking about you. And you know who you are. But to the rest of us that actually care and want to learn and want to help, don't take it personally. And that's my opening statement.
All right. First of all, have special guest Dan on the show. He usually would come in like the tail end. So, welcome to the show, Dan. Thank you for that opening statements, not only just from him, but from everybody. And sorry, I was too busy trying to get us out there on Twitter and everything. But let's get into today's show. Hopefully, y'all ready because I am.
Let's go.
Okay. We got a lot to talk about today. So I'm just going to start off. Let me go ahead and take this part right here. So over the past day,
Excuse me.
even though this is, people say it's not news, but it has to be brought up. Did anybody see Kanye West over the weekend at the South Carolina rally? Anybody?
I heard the
No.
comment he made about women and fertility, which my response to that is, if you seriously believe that this man will pay you $1 million if you have a baby under his presidency, you are just as stupid and naive and idiotic as all those little 15, 16-year-old girls that was getting pregnant to be on Teen Mom.
I think Kanye's at a point right now where he just need to be quiet, because I saw one of the highlights where he actually, I'm sorry, he actually broke down in tears saying that he almost killed his daughter after hearing something about anti-abortion, something like that. And I'm like, really? Like, come on.
Please, okay, clarify, because I'm going to use a prime example. That statement right there, the era we live in, the culture, you need some clarification. Because in order for me not to feel some kind of way about that statement, I need to know, did you have this thought when she was pregnant, or did you have this thought afterwards?
After, I mean, either way,
Like after the baby was here. Not like I thought about killing it, but we passed that point. She's still pregnant. No, I'm talking about like the baby here. The baby crying. You feeding the baby. You made that statement now. The first thing people would associate is you most had that recently. That's the thought you would express from recent feeling. That's what most people attach when they hear something like that.
I mean, the reason why I started off the show on the Kanye West thing is because we got too many of these so-called free thinkers, which I don't know if for some reason it's cost to like think or anything like that, and people are taking their words for it. And I'm not just using him as a prime example. I'm just using him just to open up the show and open up a dialogue with everybody here. He literally said that he wanted to run for president, even though he didn't meet the deadline for all the requirements to all the states to put his name in the candidacy.
So,
and
too little vote.
Right, and he's not the only one. Once again, what we've been preaching on this show is like definitely his fans, young fans, impressionable fans who don't know a lick about politics will literally think that, oh, he's speaking the truth. He's saying everything correct. He's saying everything right. To the
impressionable, to the impressionable youth demographic that hear that with sincerity and faithful belief, I agree. Most of us look at him like the expected crazy person / crazy celebrity that says, hey, I can run for president. You know, the former porn star that says, hey, if Reagan and Arnold can do it, hell, I can do it.
Mm-hmm. But I'll open the floor to everybody else how they feel about people like Kanye West. And they don't have to primarily be a celebrity. You know, they could just have a viral video and then people just go on the hinge and just listen to them. So I'll open the floor up. So what do y'all feel about individuals like that getting all this notoriety of being a truther?
Well, the first thing I want people to understand is when someone with the actual term of free thinking is to just acknowledge all points of view. and know that your personal opinion is always subject to change, depending on current information and advancing information coming in. Those that truly think free know that there's a good, a bad, and an indifference to every situation. And they also acknowledge this. They do not stand at one defined spot or one defined area. You will find them speaking rhetoric that is found along multiple sects of multiple entities, being religion or politics or the sciences. Free thinkers gravitate to all those because they know that the truth is found amongst everything. So the only way to truly find the truth is to seek out the knowledge of everything.
Right.
These people that we see now are just coining the term because it sounds cute. It's like, well, if I say something against it's the same thing as that asshole drunk friend that always does dumb shit when they're drunk and their excuse is, I was drunk, but they only do stuff like that when they're drunk. So they're using the alcohol as a label and an excuse to do stuff that they really want to do, but they know people won't take them to heart because they were drunk. Same thing here. I'm a free thinker. So if I say something that you don't like or you disagree with vehemently and I don't believe in, I'm a free thinker. That's just how I am. It's just another way people are using random labels and random sound bites to justify their own ignorance and insecurities,
Right.
and try to pass it off as some kind of truth or theoretical logic.
Got anything to add, Mr. O? I see you ready to say something.
Yes. Look, Kanye is a celebrity. If we are going to discuss on him as a celebrity, it's one thing. But when we talk about politics, celebrity are not to be mentioned at all. We have other more important things. Black people have many problems all over the world, and Kanye West is not one of them. Let us not waste our time on it. Forget it. The president, it's a kind of for president, it's a laughter. Come on, forget about him. Don't make him popular with this because you make him a politician. Let him continue making money as a celebrity.
Okay. Remember what I said. I remember what I said was this is not about him primarily. I did say somebody who used their they just viral rant on YouTube and they become credibility.
Yes.
This is not primarily about Kanye West.
Yes, of course.
Yes,
we don't waste time on people like that.
But here's the thing. Mr. O. I'm not saying what you're saying is not correct or anything like that because you on point on what you're saying. But here's the premise: you got people not like him as a celebrity. I'm not going to mention her name on behalf of T because you know who I'm talking about. There's a lot of people like her and him that are saying these things that, when they get called on it, it's my opinion. Which goes back to when you say things like this and you got impressionable minds out there, people are going to believe it. Let me be able to do the research. Bless you. So that's what the point of this. This is not all about Kanye West, which was what he's doing right now. To me, is dangerous because majority of people that listen to his music don't know not the first thing about politics. I wish I had the video of that rally where it was one girl. She was questioning him about gun reform, and he absolutely had no answer for it. He just went on a ramble. So
I think what the real issue, what it really boils down to, is the over access of technology and the abundance of it gives people this false impression,
right?
That especially with individuals who make so much money that they are afforded the leisure time to indulge in whatever they want to. So if they speak on something, they're already in a notable position. People's perception and ignorant perception is that Well, they must know because they have the money to actually
Right.
seek that information out there. So if they're speaking on it and if they're speaking on it in an intelligent manner, it only fuels that fire and that vigor that this person is right. This celebrity know what the hell they talking
Right.
about. Tom Cruise, for example, up until he freaked the fuck out with Matt Lauer, people believed him. He sounded educated. He sounded learned. He sounded like he was actually like studying the subject matter while studying his lines. People believed him as much as if not more, they would believe a doctored professor, someone that went to school and has the certification and the paperwork proving their comments.
Excuse me.
You have these individuals out there like that, and when you portray that position and that perception, it's very dangerous because so many people live an ignorant, blissful existence, and they believe on face value the information that is put in front of them. Because there's so much information, there's so much truth out there. Whatever comes in front of me must be real. The problem with that, if there's so much truth out there, there must be so much lies as well.
Right. And that's the point that I'm trying to just get at. So it's not about making Kanye famous. It's just the rhetoric that's being pushed out,
Yeah.
not
It's
just
the fact
by
that he's
people like him. You got people who love to go viral. I'm gonna use Tommy Lauren for example. She got viral just for bashing President Obama, how he was running the country, and look where she at now. With the rhetoric that she's pushed out is super, super dangerous. But Teach, do you have anything to add?
I would just like to say, as far as Kanye West is concerned, I think that he is doing a disservice to the youth and to the uneducated because he is in the limelight, and whether he means to or not, he has the power to persuade. And the younger generation, I fear, in terms of education, knowing what's right, knowing right from wrong, and the way our educational system has been going these past few years, just to show you the dilemma that we are facing. Um, Today, we have to, as an educator, fight and advocate to maintain African studies or Africana studies or African American studies or African and African American studies, wherein our elders did the sit-ins in the late 60s and the 70s to get these departments established. And in one generation, we're going back to zero. In one generation, we're not able to maintain enough people to have an interest in these classes. And since this disruption behind George Floyd, there has been a call to institute African American history on the elementary level. And I know in my own experience, I have had many students on the college level tell me they never had any African American history in their primary years. And so they come to college and it's like, what? You know, blacks really were in the United States in the formation of the state? You mean you all just didn't get here? And it's really mind boggling to see how our educational system is segregated when it comes to history. And I even had a student one time say that I think I talked about Nat Turner and the uprising. And they said, well, this is American history. Why are you talking about Nat Turner? And this is how we have programmed our minds to segregate the history. The only way that you know that blacks had a part of history is that they created it in the 60s and 70s. And so, further to my point, you have Kanye West making statements like slavery is a choice, as well as, I believe in his last rally, he made a comment about one of our famous heroes, sheroes, Harriet Tubman. He made a statement to the effect that she didn't free any slaves. So that's a distortion in history on two accounts. So looking that he wants to take a lead position not only in our America, but a lead position in the world, he is really deceiving himself, and he has the propensity to deceive younger viewers who don't have any grounding in history. They don't have anything to fact check it against, because because he's popular, his word is persuasive. And so for me, it's a very, very dangerous position that he's taking, not really understanding, or maybe he does understand the powerful position that he is in, just simply because he's popular. But I think it's utterly shameful. I don't know how many people know this, but Cornel West, the guru on race matters, professor at Harvard and also Princeton in African studies, is his uncle. So he's not far removed from a family member pulling him aside, sitting him down and talking to him. But you would think that he had no one to give him guidance in the comments that he make. And so I just feel it's a disservice. When I was growing up, they pumped into us, they preached, you can be anything you want to be. And they continue to preach that. And with Donald Trump, he caught hold to the phrase, and you see he's in office. And I think that him being in office really inspires the C-average person or the mediocre person, that if you're below average, you can obtain the presidency of the United States of America. And that's what his presidency does. It inspires the least inspired. He inspires the lowly motivated. It gives them, and it validates that phrase that you can be whatever it is you want to be.
So Dan, as a special guest on the show, what do you I'm gonna get Dan's point, and then I'm gonna go back to you, B. Johnson. So Dan, what is your take on all this?
So Kanye should do a lot better, considering that he was a hip hop artist and he's good with words. He should say shit better, and he should mean things better. But my whole thing is, and I got a joke for me and Beast Johnson and Donnell, because I got us $1 million idea, because I know I've joked on it. We are going to start, because it's always celebrities that this happens to, $1 million a week. We're going to start a Kardashian rehab service for anybody that has been gotten by them and then gone batshit crazy. Because
I will be
back
really
to that point, because I'm telling you that rehab would make a lot of money. But when it comes to celebrities and everyone else, sometimes I feel they're so disattached, they're doing a disservice by acting the way they are. So I go back to Ricky Gervais at the Emmys, or the whatever it was, where he said, come up here, take your award, say thank you, thank your producer, thank your agent, shut up and leave the stage. Like certain celebrities and certain musicians, whatever it may be, if you really don't know, you're going to make yourself look like a clown by saying the wrong things. but B, you're going to put yourself on Jump Street with no protection, as you would say, Donnell. You can't. The celebrities at this point need to just back off and let the grassroots movement take hold, and let it actually be people that are on the ground in the trenches taking grenades.
Right.
You know, let them have the voice, because yeah, they have the followers, but they can change at the drop of a hat, like B said. And that's where I think social media screwed the world up, because back in the day when it was a newspaper, someone wrote that article, they put their name on it, they typed it, and they handed it out to 50,000, 10,000, 15,000, you know, homes, businesses, whatever. And you could read the newspaper in the waiting room at the doctor's office. You can't really go back on what you said because you put your name on it, you typed it. Our technology gives them the ability to do a half-ass 180 and come back on it. So I think, in all honesty, most of them, probably 80% of them, need to just shut the hell up and let other people talk that know what's going on, because they're so disattached.
Yeah. Go ahead, Beast Johnson.
I'm going to play one part contrarian and one part devil. I'm going to give the proper explanation of his statement in reference to Harriet Tubman and her accolades and her due diligence and sacrifice. Now, when talking about the efforts of those pioneers and those that suffered through the actual slavery movement, one can almost feel as though the efforts were done in vain due to the systematic structure that we see now. The racism that we still see apparent and rampant through our nation is very reminiscent of the racist horrors that we unfortunately indulged in our history. One can come to that belief sometimes looking at what's still going on. Did they actually free us by sending us up north, not knowing that racism was still there? It was just in a different form. They were so used to the physical abuse of the South racism, they were unprepared to facilitate and navigate the more subtle, nuanced ways of the North that involve more paperwork and legal laws and more education. If he had explained it like that, people wouldn't have got so huffy puffy about it and looked at him like he was an asshole. He'd have sounded a lot more educated. You know, yes, this is a personal opinion, but this is a personal opinion that comes from some form of history and, research on the part of the speaker. He didn't have to say that verbatim, but he could say something close to that. And as long as he stays along that form, he can say the dumbest shit ever. But you have to explain yourself, because no one knows what's going on in your mind. No one knows your history, your experiences, the things that brought your opinions and thoughts to fruition. So when you make a statement like that, especially a statement you know is going to be controversial, you have to have facts. You have to have some kind of logic that you ascertain to get there.
Right.
And like Dana said, celebrities do nothing. And when he said the point about him being a rapper, a musician, someone that is paid to be prolific with your pen game, and you to say some of the dumbest shit like that, it disrespects the craft and the genre that he's involved in.
Right. Yes, I totally agree. So and so even if, and it also goes to, even with what Beast Johnson, what Dan said, and also what Teach said, with all that put together, even if I disagree on his views, I can still be like, well, what he said is factually correct. I know he's not saying it out. Well, not only just him, but people like him, neither celebrity or social media celebrity, that they have facts behind it. I'm not talking about one source, because you know how people just like to take that one source and they just stretch it. And that's my other biggest issue. But I mean, and then we're gonna go ahead and move from this subject. But
Side note, real quick. I
mhm.
want everybody on that's watching to understand that Dan, as the white man, agreed with me. So y'all know when white people agree with us, that shit's true. And y'all gotta take it as fact.
Oh my gosh. But
Hey, gotta have some levity.
yeah,
Gotta have some levity.
yeah. So, but like with that being said, it goes back to what we preach on the show, and I know I definitely say it. Y'all gotta do y'all research. Even when you hear from this show, we encourage you. Definitely, we got two professors on this show,
Yeah.
and they will encourage you to do your research. You just can't come back and be like, well, you know, Professor O, Mr. O, he said it. Mr. O could be like, oh, I did said that, but it's my view. My view. Do your research. Mr. O said, yo, don't come back on me. Don't put it on me. You the one that did it. I said it was my view. But other than that, when you hear these people, it doesn't matter if they're conservative or they're liberal, progressive, libertarian, or moderate. Even could be the people that you look up to. I was always told to question everything.
No.
Question everything. Don't believe what you hear just because you hear. And it, like I said, it doesn't have to be a celebrity. It could be your own mom. It could be your own dad. It could be your big brother. It could be your little sister. Who knows? Always question it. There's nothing wrong with that. And if the person who you're questioning start to feel offended, yeah, you might want to just stay far away from that person. So going on to the next thing that I wanted to talk about is they still haven't found. Well, the officers that killed Breonna Taylor. This really hit me hard because I'm sitting there on my YouTube. So when I get up in the morning, I go to my news. I watch YouTube. Um, they those officers who got fired are still not getting charged for the killing of this woman. And I really want to bring this to the fore with each and every one of y'all, how y'all feel. I believe it's the biggest freaking disservice. I know that the justice system is broken, but this is just runaway murder. Bad enough it was bad back in the day.
At this
This one
point,
right here is horrible.
at this point, I take the militant stance on police brutality. The only way you're going to affect change is to show that you're capable of worse than they are. This is a bully situation that we're dealing with. And bullies only stop being bullies when A, a bigger bully pops up, or B, the person being bullied shows that they're capable of something worse than the bully. I joke about it, but the truth is, and it's sad, and like we say, the truth ain't meant to be right or wrong, it's meant to be the truth. The truth is, it's not going to change until you start seeing random cops or random white people getting hung and lynched in random areas across the nation, until those oppressed start actually embracing the tactics of the oppressors and then taking them a step further. Only then will the oppression truly stop. And
Anybody,
it's that, it's either that or you wait for a bigger bully to pop up.
anybody else got anything to add?
I
Yes.
think that we are seeing progress. Even in my home city, we had a community newsletter come in the mail today about the changes that they're making in the police department concerning various tactics to subdue a suspect. So we're seeing changes. Small and in some cases great. Some police departments have already taken action to defund Now, how effective these movements, how effective these changes will be, only time is going to tell. But at least we're making changes. And one thing that we know historically for sure, nothing in America happens fast.
Ain't that you? Go ahead, Mr.
Yes. Police brutality is all over the world. When police are brutal, it is because the politicians are compromised. Change the leadership. It is the bloodless revolution. Use your ballot. If your leadership cannot assure you safety, vote them out. Let there be other candidates, no matter the political party. Change them with your ballots. That's all I have to say. There's no more time for bloody revolution. You have the right, your votes. Vote. It is the politicians, the deep state, that are responsible for the police brutality. That is why no one is arrested. So please, use your votes. Use your brain. Let them know you are important. Vote them out.
Yes, not and we already had conversation about this on a previous show about we having our own super PAC and grooming our own politicians and also renting those that's already up in there to push our agenda. Well, then he's off. I'm about to lead the next question on to him, but let me see, since Beach Johnson wants to do it, because I'm supposed to start with the first. I'm playing devil's advocate. So let me go ahead and play devil's advocate. So anybody can step on the floor and say their view about it. So let's say voting that person out doesn't work. Should we have our own military, our own militia? I won't say military, militia in our communities, defending the community. When the police is pulled over, you already have somebody right there just watching and hoping nothing don't go down.
It's
the time.
That's what they do.
In a country like the US, vote him out because politician likes power. When they know they will be voted out, they will do the right thing. Don't be afraid. Vote. Try it once. Vote them out. And the one comes in. If he doesn't change, he will be voted out. Democracy is a lawless system that can rectify itself. We don't go out of it. Vote them out.
I agree with him, but back to the point that Donnell was making. In the event that, let's say, okay, we vote, the way our political system is set up, aside from the local grassroots level, the major impact votes don't happen yearly. They happen every 4 years or every 10 years when it comes to like the Senate and House of Representatives. Mm-hmm. Those are different numbers
stuff, yeah.
when they go in and when they can come out. So if we aren't successful that first round, okay, let's say, for example, we do give it 3 rounds. Give the baseball rule. We give them 3 rounds on every level. And if we are unsuccessful, this is the thing I proved earlier, our particular democratic system is set, and our Constitution has installed a failsafe of a reset. We, the people, have the right, the constitutional right, to reset our government when our government becomes corrupt, when our government becomes faulty, when our government becomes broken and no longer for the people. We, as the people, have that right. So if it doesn't happen on that front, we still, and Americans don't understand that, it's in the Constitution. The same Constitution that everyone screams and will die for is set in there. We can reset from. What we're doing right now is
reset it only through the ballot box. Give my theory a chance 3 times. I have not done it once. Give my theory 3 times because I know politicians and their love for power. When they know they will lose it, they will have to work.
No, even if you're unsuccessful those 3 times, because what you understand about American corruption is money talks,
I know.
lies hold the most power,
I
secrets
know.
are true
And
knowledge. So
then
I can use all those things and avoid losing in the ballot every year, every time. As
I
long as
know
I know the right information and have the right money, I'm good. But
corruption happened
as the people, sir, as the
yes,
people, we have that right.
yes,
So
I
even
know.
I'm agreeing with you, we can go about this the democratic fashion, but also the
Okay,
democratic fashion, we can
it is
burn this thing to the ground and reset and rebuild.
no,
That's
it
in
is
our
no,
constitution. We have that
no,
right
that
because
is
there's
working
no
for the
disagreement. No. That's
violence,
in the Constitution. As an American, that's not violence. That's not
Okay.
violence, sir.
violence. Look,
It may
it is
take
working.
a
That is
level of violence to achieve it. You have to
look,
understand, sir. That's not
give,
violence. It may
Okay.
give
take
my
a level of violence to
All right. All
achieve
right.
that.
Yeah.
That is
give
not
my
violent by
theory
any
a
means.
chance.
All right. One at a time. So, Mr. Go ahead, explain your side, and then
I
Beast John, you jump on in.
give my theory a chance. Democracy is the only system that rectifies itself. I know of the political corruption all over the planet, but give my theory a chance before you annul it. 3 times. Look, they like power, and they will have to work for the people. Use your votes. Don't use guns, and you see the result.
Okay. Go ahead, Beast Johnson, and then teach.
But as I stated earlier, I agree with your point. That is a logical, valid point. We should go about that as well. As I always, as the pimps used to say, we can be gentlemen about this, or we can get to some gangster shit. So what I'm saying is, in our Constitution, we have the legal right, just like I have the First Amendment legal right to say what I'm saying right now. I have the
Yeah.
second legal right to bear arms and protect myself against threats, both foreign and domestic. I also have the right to go to my government when my government is deemed invalid and insufficient and inferior and unable to do what it is meant to do. When the government that was created for the people, by the people, is no longer for the people or by the people have the right to redo people. Now, yes, we can go about that in a litigious, political, legal manner, but we also have the right to physically, and if that takes a level of violence, that is understood and implied within that statement because it took a level of violence for us to achieve freedom. So if we must reset the system that we established, it is obvious that it will take a level of violence to succeed that if we are forced to that point. They knew that in the beginning because they knew what it took to get there. And they knew at some point we as the people would lose our way. So they made sure we as the people had that option and we were known and knowledgeable of that option.
All right.
That's
Go
one
ahead.
reason why they don't explain the whole Constitution to everybody.
Go ahead, teach.
Okay, all right.
Go ahead, teach.
I have a question. What war is fought and there's no bloodshed? Why is it when African Americans, or Africans of the diaspora might want to engage in battle, but they are judged and put to shame for utilizing the art of war? They say all is fair in love and war.
Yeah,
But when it
so
comes
cool.
to the African, oh no, don't use violence. Oh no,
You was
don't
so
take
violent
it.
in the past. Y'all was so civilized now.
Not so, my sister.
I mean, what shame?
Not so,
Why
my
is
sister.
it a shame for a black man to take up arms? What
It is
shame? Why?
Go ahead.
What?
Yes.
Teach.
It is not question of color. Look, the United States of America today, if you start the fire, The enemies of America will put in fuel to burn it down, and it will devour all of you. We have to use our brains.
Well, let me shine a little bit of information for you, sir. When you speak of the enemies of America, my personal experience and the personal experience of those that I've run across in the military field, military and other endeavors, musical, that have traveled overseas and really got the experience and taught. Yes, America overall does have an unfavorable view and perception in the world, but Black Americans, oh, they love us. So if it really came down to an invasion from our enemies, Black folk, we cool. We know we good long as we fall back. Like, y'all here for the white ones? Like, no disrespect to Dan. Then you can hide with me.
There'll be no
You can hide with
invasion.
me. Like, you can hide with me. Like, he good. Like, he wanted good.
Because of the corruption, they will fuel it from outside, and you will slaughter yourself. That's what I mean.
No.
I think we have a greater genius than you give us credit for.
I agree.
We have survived so much that if there was a war from the outside fought against the system in the United States of America, there would be certain races that would come out on top. I think that we will fully survive and be resilient and rebuild this nation. If it came to that, we rebuild the nation, rename the nation, write a whole new constitution for the nation, and we would keep going. We would keep going. I mean,
if
just
America
like the Roman,
Black man will not survive.
Hey, one at a
tell
time.
me
One
this:
at a time. One at a time.
when the Roman Empire fell,
Those are history.
what happened to the people? Yeah, it's
Those are
history, but the people still live in the land. The people still live in the land to this day. The empire fell, but the people are still alive today. The descendants of the Roman from the Roman Empire are still alive.
Hold on.
One at a time. Go ahead. Finish your point. Teach.
Okay, what I'm saying is that if America failed, just like other empires in the past, they failed. The DNA of the people of those lands are still alive today in 2020.
No.
They have changed. They no longer call themselves the Roman Empire, but the people of the land, they didn't just disappear. The empire, that structure fell, but the people live. So that tells me that even if America failed, the people that's left back will restructure and build again. It may not become another empire, but the people will continue to survive.
No.
All right. Go ahead.
That's it.
Look, if America goes on fire, the black man will not succeed, will not survive, and it will spread to black people all over the world. The United States is only a place today, even though we are annoyed, where the black man can still stand up and protest. It's the only country in the world where black people are protesting. If you set it on fire, look, I say enemies will pump in fuel. It will devour everybody. These planets will no more be the planets we are talking about.
But why do you think the black people will fail?
Because we are cowards.
Structure fails.
Oh, because what?
Because look, see Africa, see black people, slave in 20 million in other countries. See them in Iraq. In Iraq, no one is revolting. Look, if you put America on fire, it will backfire on the whole black race, and America will burn down.
All right. Okay. So
like Sodom and Gomorrah.
Let me just jump on in, and now, Dad. You know, I want to get your take from an outside point. Yeah. What are you taking from this? And then I'm gonna put my 2 cents in.
What am I taking from this?
Yeah. What inputs you want to put in there?
I mean, you know, the thing is with America, like Mr. O said, if America burns, you know, the difference, like Teach talked about the Roman Empire. The thing was, when the Roman Empire fell, There was too many hands in the cookie jar. When the Ottoman Empire lost at the end of World War I, they weren't given the choice of how they were going to break their shit up. Pardon my language. They were told, "Hey, you're Iraq, you're Iran, you're Jordan, you're Syria, you're blah 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 blah." They were told, "Okay, y'all might hate each other, but y'all one people. Y'all go over there. Y'all. If we do our own conflict and we fix it, we get to determine how it goes. There's not going to be outside hands in the cookie jar." And as far as all that other the racial stuff with that, I mean, shit, like me and Beast, like we had talked about that one time about the comment I made about music being like a brotherhood beyond race. Excuse me. The gun culture in America is kind of pretty much the same way. You go to a gun shop. Yeah, I mean, the Boogaloo don't see no color. Boogaloo boys are everybody, and that's what the Boogaloo boys are waiting for. When the government oversteps and the Boogaloo starts, you're going to see all the patriots come out the woodwork, and it don't matter who the hell you are, where you're from, what color you are. We all have one unified goal of the people in Washington have gone batshit, and they need to be checked. It's a united thing. I mean, I've sold in Virginia. I used to sell guns third hand. Thank you, Governor Knopfman, you prick. But I used to sell guns third hand to my friends. And I have a friend named Marcus. I have a friend named Jimmy Blake, who are black and live in rough areas in Richmond. And I sold them guns. They're clean backgrounds, no issues, good people, but they lived in bad areas. And they came to me and said, "Hey, Dan, I need something for protection. What can you offer?" Well, here's a 9mm subcompact. This will do you good in your apartment. You'll be fine with this. It's when the shit hits the fan like that, it's not going to be a racial thing. It's going to be the free thinkers or the people like us to get together versus the sheep. And no offense, at this point, I got to quote Joe Rogan on this. When the shit hits the fan and we got to G-check the government, who would you rather have? Would you rather have me and my 15 crazy friends from Virginia? Or would you rather have the 15 people from Santa Monica?
Facts. I'll tell you West Virginia.
I have a question, Dan. Dan,
Yes,
when you say that your friend came from a bad area, does that mean that he couldn't get a legal weapon in his area? Clarify what you mean by that.
Well, see, now here's the backside of that, and that's a great question, Teach. There are areas like there's a gun range that I go to if I have a last resort and I want to get some range time. There are I don't go to gun shows anymore. I just don't. I don't go to gun shows because I refuse to step into a building where they sell Nazi memorabilia and copies of the Turner Diaries. I refuse to go and give any of them any of my money because I don't agree with it. There are some gun shops, like there's a big gun shop near my house where they're pricks. They're mean to everybody. I've seen them talk down to people like that. I've walked in there with stacks in my hand, ready to buy a new rifle or something. And it's like, wow, y'all are pricks. I'm going to go order my gun offline and have it shipped to another gun shop. So it's not so much that they couldn't get one. They wanted to actually be able to shop and get an opinion of somebody that wasn't going to talk down to them, because there are gun snooty people in the community. Like if you go to a gun shop and
he's not
if you
lying.
go to a gun shop, Teach, and you want to look at different pistols. If you look at more than 5 and you don't buy one, the gun shops call those people gun molesters, which I think is stupid, because how are you going to know if you don't feel it in your hand?
You gotta know what that weight feel
there's
like.
still stuff. Yeah, so there's still stuff to work out with that. But I mean, they came to me and said, "Hey, Dan, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I need it for. What would you recommend?" Well, I recommend this. I get it to you for $350 brand new in the box.
I can attest to that.
It's one of those things.
Well. They
came to me because they want to protect themselves and they want to protect their families, their girlfriends, their property, which we have the right to do. But like Mr. O said, I mean, you can't come to America like he said, people go and pour fuel on the fire. Good luck to them. And that's the other thing, Mr. O, you can't compare us to other countries in the world because we have the guns. We got all the guns. We have gun laws. We have great gun laws. My buddy Andrew, won't say his last name, but he recently acquired a grenade launcher that he didn't like, so he got rid of it. But he's allowed to buy that kind of shit. He has a flamethrower. because this is America. So
Fucking
you go
off.
to Germany, you can't
Sorry.
have that shit. You go to Australia, they turned all their guns in. We have reserved the right, like B said, when the time comes and the shit hits the fan, you good, you ready, let's go. And we march and we take care of it. We had a huge protest in Richmond. Nobody got hurt. Nobody did anything. I would have been happier if Alex Jones would have stayed the fuck at home and not made us look like a bunch of pricks. Pardon my language, y'all, but you know, that's the thing. Like it's really just a, if you need us, we're here. If you don't, we got you back.
Mm-hmm. Now to add to Dan, as far as the pawn shop, you do have pawn shops like that. Like in my city, there's a good little amount of pawn shops around. There's certain areas that have like 3 or 4 of them within walking distance. So I went gun shopping with one of my friends, and just because we were there, I went ahead and, hey, is my name good to get a gun? He's like, yeah, I'll run the background real quick, everything. Yeah, no problem. Went through, that one no good. He said the dude in the bag was like, nah, he can't get a gun. I said, okay. Wasn't here for a gun anyway, just thought while I'm here, try.
Right.
Didn't find what he was looking for, so we went to the one up the street, which is literally like not even a 2-minute walk. I said, I'm gonna try over here. Went through, he was like, yeah, went through, no problem, man. Now, I am, for the record, a convicted felon. It's over 10 years, but I know I still have that on my record. So I checked just to see if I have that legal right. Said, yeah, you have that legal right. I said, hey, that's funny because I just went to the other spot and he said I couldn't do it. He was like, yeah, that dude, he don't like certain people buying guns. Like if you look a certain way. Now, mind you, this was 2 black guys, but I'm a black guy, dark skin with dreads, and I'm rather large.
Bless you. But go ahead, Beast Johnson.
I was saying to answer Mr. O, the reason why we'll truly never have a race war in America is due to interracial breeding. Everyone's mixed. Everyone got a little bit of something in them. So if you really want to get to a race war, all the blacks are going to link together. All those linked biracially, the blacks are going to link together. All those that have biracial kids that truly love their kids and support their kids are going to link with the blacks. All the other races will link up and coordinate with the blacks because we know this is colors versus the whites, and that's how it would end up rolling. So all the whites and people like you overseas and the ignorant that really think a race war will pop off, it's never going to pop off. It was going to happen. It happened in the 70s before they made it legal. It didn't pop off then, so it ain't going to pop off now.
All right, so just to because now I'm gonna give my take, but then I think Tommy, who I used to work with in my regular Army days, I want y'all to read his comment, and then I'm gonna go ahead and say my point. So I had up.
I've been reading. I'm glad you got it up because I did read it, and my thing is we can't be afraid of what could be, what might be, what would be. We can't be afraid because we don't know what the future is. And I'm saying that if some type of real war come out of this, I don't believe that we as blacks will be any worse off than we already are. I think that there is a prime advantage that we can take in this situation. And what we're talking about is the shifting and the breaking down of the racial structure. Getting rid of it is a good thing. And how we progress forward as a nation, many times I've said, we push the envelope on what diversity is. We fight, and behind us, the other races and the other causes come. So therefore, I can only see us winning. Whatever happens, I can see us winning. Even we have a small victory. And I'm surprised Morris hasn't brought this up. But in Asheville, North Carolina, the city council got together and they voted to give reparations to their 90,000 residents. Now, reparations is in the form of being displaced, fighting against discriminatory housing practices from the VA as well as the VHA, and a whole other list of things. Is not a reparations bill to actually put specific monies in specific people's hands, but to right some of the wrongs through the laws that they know that they participated in as a city, and they reaching out to acquire state funds as well as federal funds to complete this reparations. So this city has taken the lead in terms of recognizing the wrongs that was committed to the descendants of the formerly enslaved Africans that are alive and well today in 2020. Now it's receiving a lot of criticism, but I say it is a small victory in the direction that this country has to go. And not only Asheville, North Carolina, there was some place in California. They did another small thing. So we've been talking and yelling reparations, reparations, reparations. They are here, people. You may not agree with them, but they're in the minds of the people. They're in the minds of people that have the power to actually implement them. And I yield the floor.
That is what you said. That's what I've been saying. You said they made a change in Carolina. I read it. What did you say they did? They voted. Not that they carry bomb and throw it. They voted. That is the power of democracy. That is what I'm recommending. More like that should happen in the US.
Vote? We have to look at what
it has to begin from every
motivated the vote.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr.
Start with the mayors.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Start with the mayors. Change them if they don't fulfill your dream. Then from there you go to a governorship. That is the power of democracy. You are seeing it in Carolina. We are seeing it in California. It will soon spread all over the United States. That is the kind of reparation we want. Not the guns, but the vote, the power of the people. It is a republic in Latin, res publicae, the property of the public.
Okay, Mr. O. So go ahead, Beast Johnson, real quick. Then I'm gonna go and jump in. Go ahead, Beast.
No, I was gonna say to answer to repeat teach to Mr. O. What was the catalyst that brought upon that litigious legal change? It was an aggressive act and intimidative force of potential violent rage. Didn't get executed, but that impression and inference was placed there. So that did need to happen. That does need to, like I always say, a level of violence is always accepted and acknowledged when you're in aggressive manner, aggressive formats and war-like tactics like we are in now. This may be a political war, but a level of aggression and potential violence will be there. And remember, I say the word potential. Doesn't necessarily it's going to happen. The potential of a violent uprising is always there. Now, the more the people come together and show that is an inevitability, the more the government shows its true face. Do they stand up and change, or do they run and cower, or do they try to exert a last-ditch effort of force, only fueling the fire for the actual physical aggressive revolt? So when we speak on this, we're not speaking on it as an inevitability. We're speaking on it as a potential. There's a plausible, possible potential of it, but it's plausible, not potential yet.
Right,
we're not there yet, sir. Right. And I also want to congratulate Asheville because they also not just took the steps to do reparations, but like we discussed, bless you, like we discussed in the earlier podcast about how we should actually dole out reparations. That is the format.
All right. So this is me hearing what everybody else says. So let me go ahead and just try to bring it all to the middle of the track. So the one thing, Mr. O, that you said to me that kind of had me like, oh my goodness, did he just say that? But then I understood why you said it. It's the coward part. That all I won't use. I won't say use that general brush of like all black people are cowards. So I'm a stand with you on that comment of yes, there are black people that are in power right now, that's in Congress, that are in positions to be the movers and the shakers, and they're not doing a thing. They're not doing nothing at all. They're not saying nothing. Al Sharpton, that's the first thing that comes to mind. You know, he got a very crooked past of being a snitch to the FBI. And, you know, he jumped on any other story just to get his name out there. That's why he's in the position that he's in. So I'm with you on that one.
That is it.
All right. But the one thing, to go back to what Cheech and Beast Johnson and Dan were saying, when you say, because you make democracy, what you're saying about democracy is what we've been trying to say for a long period of time, that we've been wanting. We want, when we put our vote, we're not just saying in general, when we put in our vote, that it means something. Yes, has the Democrat Party been using our vote for granted? Oh, hell yeah. I will tell you that in a heartbeat. I know Dan would say it real quick, put his foot down, but like, yeah, they've been using your vote, and what y'all get from it? Nothing. Not even a box of rocks or freaking pennies or a freaking
barely a damn thank you.
We don't get nothing. So I agree with that point. But we've been begging for that for what, centuries now, Teach? I mean, for
far too long.
I mean, since Reconstruction, well, I think that's the only time we really, you know, we had democracy, we had power, we had influence. After Reconstruction, you had black governors, you had black senators, you had House of Representatives, where they were literally half or majority of Congress during that time. And then you had a thing called Jim Crow, the Lily White movement that destroyed all that. So to connect the dots with this other point is that, you know, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't believe that protests work. So I'm just gonna say that I don't believe that protests work. I believe that it should be some aggression. Look what happened with the Dr. King. What happened in Selma? We just lost civil rights great John Lewis. It took what happened there for the civil rights bill to get passed, or at least the motivating factors are like, hey, we gotta do something. When the streets are burning, you're not telling me that a governor or mayor is not looking outside their window and looking at their town burning down like, oh snap, I gotta do something.
They're looking like I can't have my name on this. I can't be that one.
You can't tell me they got advisors on their board right now, or people that's on their board sitting there saying like, sir or ma'am, we can't have this happen. I mean, we gotta do something. Look what happened in Mississippi. Mississippi just changed their flag, literally, because the SEC from football literally told them, well, American football, Mr. O, college football literally
Okay, I know.
They literally told them.
You call our own soccer.
SEC literally told Mississippi, if y'all don't change the flag, we're not having no more championship games. We're not having no football games up in here that's going to make this state money up in here at all until you change the flag. Because they see the protests and what's been going on. Well, not just the protests, but seeing what has been happening within the protests. They're like, oh snap. And then they had to look back and be like, and I know you don't like to make it racial, saying it's not about race. Oh, Mr. O, it's all about race. I'm going to put my foot on it. I'm sick on it. Majority of their players are black. majority of those players that get recruited comes from come from real bad neighborhoods. And going back to what Dan's saying, Richmond is a real bad neighborhood. That's why you stay away from the north part of Richmond.
Yep.
And majority of those players get picked, even in Virginia. I'm a Hokies fan. They would get those prospects from those low income areas. And they would give them the little pipe dream of like, look, you come here to Virginia Tech or in Mississippi, you come to Mississippi State. You come play for us or Alabama. Look what Alabama just did. Alabama just what they do? They mandating the mask.
What about the Washington Redskins?
Washington Redskins.
They finally changed
their name.
Changed the name because you know why? Because that money.
They've been catching hold of it for years, and once you start losing that money.
Which also Mr. Joy also leans on your way too, where it say, well, it's not primarily about race neither, because if you take away their money, take away their capital, take away their earnings, then then we talking. But now if you look at more
that wallet.
But if you look more on the political side, where you got those mayors and you got those governors seeing their streets literally burning down, no matter if it's from agitators, from police officers dressed up as protesters, or all this stuff that's culminating in stopping the economy of that neighborhood. As a mayor, seeing that happening to my town, oh yes, I'm definitely going to do something. I'm not going to sit there and pretend that it's not happening. But all in all, to bring this all together as much as I can, because I feel like I'm going all over the place. But to bring this all together, it's just a simple fact that democracy that you've been saying, that's what we've been wanting for the longest period of time. We've been wanting
the ideal of it.
Right. Yes. That's all we want. That's all
I understand.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand.
But it's kind of disingenuous when I can understand you say it's not all about race, but just to meet you in the middle, a part of it has to be with race.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah, part of it has to be race, and that's me meeting you in the middle of the road. Even though I believe that's all about race, I'll meet you in the middle of the road.
I agree and understand you. I agree and understand you. But on my point, I still say the black leadership have failed.
Right,
if you cannot change them, people like you should be promoted to new leadership.
Right.
If corruption, you cannot change them, new leadership should come up. For the old black leadership, they are all corrupt and all they have failed.
All right, so let me so now I'm gonna have to say it in like political parties. So like you got the black liberals, and then also you got the black conservatives, and majority of them will go back and forth, and they would say their different views and all that stuff. So you got the black conservatives, they be like, you over there on the Democratic plantation. And then you got the black liberals, they sitting there pointing at them, sitting there saying, well, look, you over there in Master's house. Yeah, you wearing their clothes and all that stuff, but you taking the scraps.
Then you got the black Republicans saying, y'all need to come over here and get this white man money.
Right.
It's campaign. Who convinces you, but you are not owned by any party. Your power, your voting power is your power. That is what is not. Don't sell yourself to any party. When they come for a vote, say, these are our problem. The list of the problem we have as black people. What solution have you? If you can't give solution, don't vote for him.
Right. And I like Tommy. He's thanking y'all for clearing up the point that he made up in his last statement. So hopefully
thank you, Tommy.
No problem, man. Like I said earlier with Kanye. When you make a statement, you got to be specific and truly elaborate as best of your ability what you're trying to convey. And if you can't do it at that moment, do it to the best of your moment. Fall back, regroup, and keep going.
Anybody
make sure that point is clearly defined.
Right. Anybody reading that his Nick's comment as well?
Yes, I'm reading it.
So But yeah, I mean,
I think
go ahead, teach.
that
Donnell, back to what you said
that
about
we're getting
sorry,
results.
Oh, hold on. Go ahead,
I
teach.
won't be long. We're getting results. I think a lot of people don't like the results, but it's just plain and simply like this. You have to agitate. You have to agitate, and I'm seeing phenomenal results from the city level, from the state level, to the federal level, to the private corporations. And this is not just touching African Americans, it's touching the Native Americans. They are not been advocating, but they know that the Washington Redskins is indicative of a racial slur against Native Americans. So it's raising the consciousness on all minorities in America. And even with the Land O'Lakes butter, they used to use what do they call a squaw, a Native American female. They took the Native American female off of the butter. That's the number one brand of butter in America. So it's raising the consciousness on all the races in America, which you see. And I keep saying this, and one day you all will believe me that it is the African American that pushes the envelope of diversity. And when we push that envelope, all the other races in America benefit.
Yeah, that's true. Go ahead, Darren. I heard you about to say something. Go ahead.
Well, before I make that point, Donnell, you remember when we was growing up in Gloucester? Do you remember them two little convenience stores on 17 with the little Indian girl with the grocery bag?
Little Sue's. Little Sue's.
Yeah, Little Sue's. Yeah, it's like as soon as she said the Land O'Lakes, I'm like, wait, I saw this growing up. This was some bullshit. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But to the point of like the Democrats and the Republicans, and I know I've quoted him before, and I've watched the video multiple times to make sure I heard everybody right. I really like what Killer Mike said. Everybody needs to get together. Black America needs to get together. How are we going to burn down both their houses?
That's true.
Yeah.
You know, Killer Mike said it, and it's very true. And the other thing is, when we talk about rebuilding America, one point I want to make: no more mansions, no more summer houses. We're going to build a dorm right next to the Senate and the Congress and all that. Guess what? Hey, you got elected. Here's your key card. You're on the 10th floor. You're a public servant. That's what you get. If you start living beyond your means, if you start living beyond your means, we're going to be up your ass to figure out who's buying and paying you to do dumb shit in here. That's not what you're here to do. A lot of people, they come into the job, they broke as shit. They come out of the job and they ain't money everywhere. They're just making it rain. Where'd you get all your money from? We got to keep them honest. And I hate to say, in order to keep them honest, we got to kind of keep them poor.
Yeah, and not to interrupt you, Dan. Yeah, not trying to interrupt you, but you are so totally right, because even in the military, like on post right now, they offer on post housing, and the officers, they live on another side of the post, and then you got the enlisted, they will live on the other side, and you can see the distinct differences. You got the officers, they got very nice housing, and they live by themselves. Now with the lower enlisted, they live like, like these houses where it's together. So think of an apartment of a house, but it's together.
Townhomes,
like a row house.
Yeah, just like that, or a halfway house, something like that. But when you go up more of the rankings of the enlisted side, the housing get better. So just think of a nice house. Once again, a nice halfway house, bricked up, but you're sharing the house. So one half is somebody else's house, to the other half is your house. And I agree with that. I think these congressmen and women need to be held to task. They should have their feet to the fire. And if they do it wrong, then we need to just be like, look, I think what we're getting at is there should be a punishment. What is your punishment? What is your punishment if you did not live up to at least 3 of your promises? You got at least, how many promises you have? If you have 10, we expect you to at least live up to 5 of the promises, depending on the like the severity or the impact that promise is going to have on the community or on that state. And if you don't live up to it, you should get your ass have a punishment. You should.
Now, I won't say that. I won't say that down there. What I'll say is this: I treat it like albums. So, like you say, if you give me 10 single promises, I expect 4 of them, at least 4 to 5 of them to be fire. To be fire. Now, if you sitting here hyping up track 7, telling everybody track 7 is that shit, telling that you need to listen to track 7, you need to listen. I don't care about nothing that's on the album. Track 7 as the artist is my favorite album. If track 7 is garbage and track 7 don't hold up, yes, you need to be held accountable, sir, because you did all that wolfing for nothing.
You know what? It should be a probation. Yep. It should be a probation period. So let's just say
and term limits.
Right. Oh, that too. So let's say
proper. You're right. Proper term limits.
Now, I have to disagree with you because now you're moving into. I understand and I agree. Okay, I'll tell you what I agree with first. I agree with proving them, letting them prove why they're there.
Right.
But when it comes to their lifestyle and where they choose to live, I think you're moving into socialism if you want to build a big dorm and put everybody in it that's in a public office. And I couldn't agree with that. But I want you to look at the neighborhood plans and just think about different cities you may have lived in. It's always the lowest income, a few blocks over, the middle income, a few blocks, maybe a few miles over, you have the wealthy houses. And that's in every city. That's in every city. And that's a basic layout plan of neighborhood. So you're going to have the least expensive, those that's in the middle, and then you know, the wealthy, and then the super wealthy, they just happen to be somewhere else behind a fence or a forest, and you just like would never see them, though you drive past them every day. You're not going to see them. But no, not necessarily a gated community. Usually if you go into a super wealthy neighborhood, it just looks like woods. It's just an unkept forest. And you might drive a mile or two. You might drive a mile or two before you actually get to a home. And then it's like, wow, all this is back here? You never knew it's back there. They hide in plain sight.
Like a big ass golf course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so no, that leans towards socialism for me.
Sounds like teaching about to run for office.
No, I just after we fought the restrictive covenants, I just want to live where my money can take me. That's
okay,
all.
I can agree with that. I agree with that to an extent.
Yeah.
But it's all about the accessible option.
Right. I know Mr. O, you know, he got his little wine over there. He's like, look, I don't care. I'm just gonna be on my boat.
I want to be able to choose my wine. That is liberty.
You say you can do everything else. You can do anything else without my wine.
I want to choose my own. Today I bought one very good one. Is the one when you take it, it comes out of your nose. It is a vine called Malbec. Argentina has a very good wine. You take a bit and you feel it inside, and then some foam come out of your nose. That's a good wine.
Go ahead, Dan. Oh, look, you got Dan. He probably gonna go get something.
Like Teach said, and you can have your wine, Mr. L. I'll keep my scotch over here. like Teach had said, like maybe the housing's a little far, but let me ask you this, Teach. Would you be willing that if someone becomes an elected official on a federal level, that their books, their actual financial earnings need to be open to the public so we can make sure they're not being swayed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I truly believe in that. And I believe that that's the problem that we're having with this administration is that every president before him have obeyed the law and opened up their books. He is the first president that has not opened up his books. And
Well-
that sets a precedent for people to come behind them and not open up their books. When that has been a law since this has been a nation. And it's a crime for him not to open his books.
I will take it a step further, to be honest with you. If you want to address corruption and to really show and to affect the change of corruption, it shouldn't just be elected officials, but anyone in the public service in that endeavor, because you find that type of corruption in the most menial of positions like comptrollers.
Mhm.
So I would act for that access, that public access for any elected or public employee or official.
Lobbyists, I'm telling you that
Yeah,
big lobbyist
exactly.
money.
Because like I said, a lot of times it's the lobbyists. They do go for the big names, but they just as well will go find some random accountant or treasurer and corrupt them.
That is
Just as
how it
easily as
works.
they will corrupt
That
a
is how it
high-ranking
works.
official. So if you're asking for access on the books, all the books, everybody's book.
Yeah.
If the president, that way you take away the liability excuse, because the president could easily just use that as an excuse not to. Well, what about the corruption that happens on the lower level? Da, 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 da. So to nip that in the bud, we're not just asking for the financial records of all elected federal. We're asking for it on the state level. We're asking for it on the local level. If you're an alderman for your ward, then you're.
We need to see what you spend it on,
Mm-hmm.
where the money's coming from.
If you have an account set up for that, then we have your constituents can go down to the local place, or they can go online and pull up, type your name in and pull up your records and see what money's coming in and where's it really going.
And imagine that will, to me, I think if you get into, and then also, what's your voting record? What do you vote on? You say that, let's say you all about the Christian values. Let's say Mr. O, like, look, I want a politician that reaches out to my Christian values. Let's look at Teach. Let's say I want this politician to be voting on black issues. Let's say B. Shar's like, look, I'm sick tired of getting taxed. I need to know about what's their position on taxes. And then let's say Dan, his position is on, we already know, guns. Like, okay, look, I understand the background check, but it's getting a bit too much, to the point where it seems like if I try to get a new gun, it seems like I gotta wait for months now. So we should have their voting records on these issues, because they could tell you anything. They could be like, it's like,
that is democracy.
it's like I'm Christian, or Anita Joe, I agree with everything you said, or tell Dad, like, Dad, I got a couple guns back in the house, man. I understand how you feel. Or go Beach Johns, be like, yo, Beach, you look here, man. You should see how much my taxes is. And then you come to find out this dude was either voting for more taxes, that this dude and you find out that this dude is committed adultery, and he's sitting there to claim to have all these moral values of being a Christian.
Abortion, killing black babies.
Or that, and then, or like with Teach, like he doesn't even bring up any black issues up on the floor, or at least make a proposal for anything. And then Dan finds out like this dude is not even, he's voting for, don't even say anything about gun rights. He doesn't say anything at all. He doesn't even go to the hearings, because they having a lot of hearings now about gun rights.
Not just your voting record, but your attendance record as well.
Right, and that should also be
Yeah.
something when you look at these politicians, because honestly, I think it will take away the commercials that we're already producing the badgering commercials now on the political side, and with that, that would take away all those commercials, so we can get to the games and all that stuff and get to the important stuff. But go ahead, teach you like
I'm
about to say
glad
something.
I'm glad you brought up the commercials because they're having a series of commercials about immigrants, and with 43 million people out of work due to the COVID virus, they're running these commercials saying there's 43 million people out of work and immigrants are here taking our jobs. President Trump should close the borders to all immigrants. And that is just 100% so wrong, because the jobs that the immigrants do in America are not the jobs that's
That
counted in that
Americans will do.
43 million.
Mhm.
It happens
Exactly.
all over the world. Immigrants do all the dirty jobs. It is,
Yes,
it is all over the world.
and can I?
Yes, but it's
Yeah,
It is
go ahead,
so.
go ahead.
In Europe and Africa, it's the same. Immigrants do dirty jobs that citizens do not want to do.
I'm
And
gonna make
when
this.
they migrate, they do that job they will not do in their country.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make this point. I'm gonna hand it back to you, Beast Johnson. I want to end this illusion on immigrants. Immigrants are just not Mexicans. There are immigrants just like Mr. O that's coming to this country every day that people forget. Even Canadians. We talking about the Mexican border, but nobody's not talking about the Canadian border.
the Canadian border.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it blows my mind. And then and I hate to use this word, for this instance, it's colorblind. It's not just Mexicans. Like I said, you got
We
people.
got white immigrants.
From Honduras, from Honduras, from all
white
the countries in the
immigrants from the
Caribbean.
Balkans.
Yeah, and you got people just look like Mr. O that's coming through this country and they getting kicked out and they being stopped, and you sit there and say they're taking their jobs, but they come in and they take these jobs and they push harder. And
That is why I say you are correct.
yeah, the other show,
That's why black people too should take up these opportunities, and also their citizens, their natives. They should take up the opportunity and earn money and build families. Many of those Latinos, they build families. The black community cannot boast of robust family system. Let us go right to the root of the problem.
Go ahead.
That's not true. That's not true because
That's true. Don't cover
I'm
it
one of
up.
the
Anita, don't cover it
first
up.
families.
Anita, don't cover it up.
All right, okay, go ahead.
I
Beast
don't
Johnson.
have to cover it up. I'm speaking firsthand. I
Go ahead.
come from one of the first families of this city. My father is the oldest of 14 children. Okay? He had 8 brothers and 5 sisters. In our city, they're all business owners. If you come into a certain sector of the city, that's Bartell Haven, because we own all of that. Okay?
Yes.
So they call us the Bartell
one.
Cartel.
That is particular, but it's a particular one.
No,
it's not so in the rest of the
but
US.
that's very common. It's very common. I mean, I don't know how many black people there are in the US, but you cannot believe the numbers and the hype. It takes a man and a woman to bring forth a child. The first family is a man and a woman.
But that is true. But
And
the black family is
our
not so.
numbers are not lacking.
You got black families out there. Yeah, you got some black families out there, Mr. O.
It's a
I know.
small
I
black
agree.
family.
That
They
I
got some
agree.
black families. Like
Yeah, I agree, but majority of black family, the majority of single mothers in the USA are blacks. We have to recognize it so that
That's
our people
not true.
can start believing.
That's not true.
Majority
Now,
of abortion in New York are black women.
okay, one at a time. One at a time.
This is one time that you can be colorblind, because we do not have the highest numbers of single parents. That does belong to another race. Now let's join hands and sing Kumbaya on that one. See,
Look,
the way they paint the picture, the way they...
Hold on, Mr. O. Let her go. Let her finish, Mr. O. Go ahead, teach.
I'm done.
All right. So go.
Majority of babies aborted in New York are blacks. That is what I read.
Okay, so go ahead, B.
Okay.
Johnson.
That
Well,
don't mean that it's true.
okay, to answer
It does
the
not
answer
mean
the
that it's
statement,
true.
correct.
Go ahead,
To
B.
answer the
Johnson.
statements from earlier, Mr. O, you have to understand that a lot of information that comes across now is fabricated to a certain degree. You have to have a strong, discernible heart, spirit, and mind to really get down to the truth. That might be the case in New York. That might be a valid point and statement, but that does not speak for the rest of the nation. To go to what Teach was saying, I wanted to say that if for anyone that truly wants to understand the endeavors of politics, find the movie The Campaign. It stars Will Ferrell and Zach Galifianakis. Now, for those that have not seen it, give you a quick summary. It's about Will Ferrell's character is your basic, typical style politician. He go where the money is. Zach Galifianakis is more your earnest, grassroots. He more represents the people, what the people need to have in office. And you see the tactics, you see the psychology, you see the mentality that those type of politicians have to have, and the individuals that are around them, the super PACs, the rich millionaire brothers, the Koch brothers, as they are referred to in the movie, and how they operate and how they put in specific politicians and how they take out specific politicians.
And to be not trying to interrupt you, to be fair to Mr. O, George Soros too. So just put a smiley face. George Soros.
Oh, yeah, I'm Bill Gates too.
Go ahead, B. Johnson.
But there's a moment in there where they're at a little gala and they're speaking to a politician about something that they want done in their favor. You know, more money in their pocket and less money for actual Americans. Let's outsource some jobs. He said, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. Not for my district. That's going to kill my district. That's going to hurt my people. They said they understood, and then go in the same breath, say, all right, well, we're going to send a hooker to him, get him out of here. Who's the next person we can think of that'll be in our favor? What about him? Nah, he's a drunk in rehab. What about him? Got caught with the nanny. Again? Yeah. What about him? He's the weird one. This is the discussion these type of individuals have about politicians. You really see the truth of politics. I suggest anyone is projected in a sense of comedy and levity, but the truth is right there in front of you.
What about,
you see the corruption for what it is.
What about that one movie that Eddie Murphy did where he impersonated a congressman?
The
Distinguished
Gentleman.
Yeah, Distinguished Gentleman.
That's another one.
That's another
one.
one.
Trouble for that one. You got in trouble for that one too.
Because that right there shows, like, going back to the gun thing, it was one of the politicians that didn't believe in guns, and look what they had, like the AR-15s, M16s, and they shooting in the air, couldn't even hit one duck. And Ed Murphy was like, oh, he just had a heart attack. Just shooting the guns all up in the air, and all these ducks just go flying around, only one went down. So it goes back to do as I say, not as I do when it comes to politics. All in a nutshell. But we came on to the last part of the show where we're about to go to our final thoughts. But anybody else got an alibi on this particular thing before we jump in?
I just wanted to read a few points that the City Council of Asheville took, if I may.
Go ahead, Cheech.
Okay. Number one, the City Council of the City of Asheville apologizes and make amends for its participation in and sanctioning of the enslavement of Black people. Point two, apologizes and make amends for its enforcement of segregation and its accompanying discriminatory practices. Apologizes and make amends for carrying out an urban renewal program that destroyed multiple successful Black communities. And we call on other organizations and institutions in Asheville that have advanced and benefited from racial inequity to join the city in its apologies and invites them to address racism within their own structures and programs and to work with the city to more comprehensively address systematic racism. It calls on the state of North Carolina and the federal government to initiate policy making and provide funding for reparations at the state and national levels. And it directs the city manager to establish a process within the next year to develop short, medium, and long-term recommendations to specifically address the creation of generational wealth and to boost economic mobility and opportunity in the Black community. And it fully supports the equity department staff in its work and encourages the city manager to utilize their talents when forming policy and programs that will establish the creation of generational wealth and address reparations due in the Black community as mentioned above. And then the very last one, it calls on the city manager to give at minimum a biannual update to the city council on the progress of work performed pursuant to this resolution read, approved, and adopted this 14th day of July 2020.
I agree. I agree.
And Teach, could you post that article on our page, which everybody should be liking and following as well? Tommy will oblige.
Okay, I will do that.
But
it just gives, it's just one city, and I believe the city is 92,000 people. So for that city,
example. That's a good example.
That's a good example. Very good example.
You know, that is the kind of change I want. And I know that we can obtain it. I'm not denying there's racism, but these are the practical solution we have. But Black leadership have to work or quit or lift up new ones. That is very positive.
Got you. Go ahead, continue, Teach.
That was it. I just wanted to bring this out and make this a part of the show as to how they make amends and address the wrongs. And that's all we've been asking for. Mm-hmm. So in this war on racism, we have to add up the total cost of blood. How many lives have actually been shed when we compare it to World War II, which was the bloodiest war known to man, the most devastating. So the numbers don't even compare.
Right.
If we are making these moves and these strides and changing the minds and the attitudes of the people, then we are winning. We are winning this war and dismantling this system. This gives us hope. This document gives us hope for a better and all-inclusive America. And that's my final thought.
Just your final thought already? We didn't even do the introduction to it. I'm about to. Good grief. But teachers, right? We are about to get the final thoughts of everybody. First of all, Dan, thank you for being a part of the show once again, but this time officially as guest. So hopefully, not hopefully, I'm not gonna say hopefully. When you want to join the show, just hit one of us up and we will get you on. But enough of further ado, let's get to the final thought. And I'm going to go ahead and take it first. Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all for tuning into the show. For everybody who's been rocking with us the long way, Pauls, thank you so very, very much. This show, once again, has really, I'm stealing the words from Teach, had really given me life. And I'm going to continue to do this show until we start to get what we deserve, and that's democracy, reparations, getting Black issues out there, but also bringing it to the fold of having outside, like people like my boy Dan coming on to the show and sitting back and joining into the dialogue. This is beyond the conversation. This is a dialogue that should have been happening for a very, 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 very long time. I just chose from doing my podcast, just talking about anything random and all this stuff and talking about some of these things to like, you know what? Let me do this show because the media is just going to treat it as, you know, the flavor of the month. And then the next thing you know, none of this will matter. Which leads me to this. You're going to see a lot of changes with this show where my panel will be putting themselves much more on this show, where they will have their own segments, where they will be giving their take much more in depth. It's great to have this discussion all together and all that stuff, but the dynamics, what makes this show unique. And then also the issues that we talked about, which I appreciate Teach for bringing up the reparations story, because I heard about it over the weekend. I'm happy that she brought it up. And that's what you're going to continue to get with the show. But we're going to start making the show a little bit more dynamic and talk about the things that the mainstream chooses not to, or they only just talk about it a little bit just for ratings. We could care less if we got 100 people watch the show to 0 people on the show. We've been picking up steam, which also I would like to thank each and every one of y'all who've been liking this show, who've been coming on. Thank you so much. We're already up, I believe, to let me check real quick. I'm not trying to go too long on this, ladies and gentlemen, but I need to give credit where credit is due. We are up to at least 130 likes, new likes. Yes, 130 likes. And I would like to thank each and every one of you for making it happen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As well as this panel that comes in every Monday, Tuesday, Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Mainly a big thanks to them, but also to y'all. And when I say tell your friends, your family, your side chicks, I really mean that. Tell them about this show because they're going to get information that they're not going to hear anywhere else, which we encourage you to do your own research, but we want you to come on the show and join in the dialogue. And it's not only just to our brothers and sisters, we also talking about white people. We also talking about all others ethnicities to watch this show. But be warned, you stepped into our world. And some things, well, majority of things that we're going to say is not going to make you comfortable. That's not our job to make you comfortable. It got to this point. Only thing you need to do, sit there and listen and ask the questions. No question is stupid. I take that back just a little bit. Just be careful with the question you ask, because if you're going to ask a question that's you're going to feel uncomfortable with, be prepared for uncomfortable answer. That's all I'm going to say, and just want to thank everybody for tuning in. You're next, Mr. Beast Johnson. Take it away.
My final thought is reserving your rights. When you do your due diligence, do your studying, seek your knowledge, understand what you are truly accessible to, understand your true limitations to any and every situation, you have a better way of enacting the change necessary. No. Diplomacy and peaceful tactics are a must. They must be executed. But sometimes an aggressive stance can facilitate that peaceful stance a lot quicker and sometimes expeditiously, to quote T.I. So you always have to remind and yourself and others of your rights, of their rights to every situation. When we speak of the police brutality and the issues of America right now, we as Americans, not just Black Americans, but all Americans that know this unjust, feel some kind of way about this unjust, and those that are willing to make the change against this unjust. We know and we must further educate others of the right reserved. We have the right to bear arms. We have the right to speak our mind. We have the right to overthrow the government when the government is corrupt. If an aggressive stance is needed for a peaceful movement, then that is what's necessary. But we always reserve the right to increase the aggression if the peaceful stance is not facilitated. So in closing, reserve your rights. Be mindful of your rights and execute them properly. And that's my thought.
Um, yes, I want to emphasize on what I've said before. It is time for our community to ask for its leadership for accountability. We begin from the grassroots, because if you want to aim at the top, their agents will not allow you. So begin from the grassroots. The grassroots leadership, ask them for accountability. Sit them down and tell you the problem our community have. And if they refuse to provide answer, let us choose new leaders. In fact, within the community, there should be, every Black person should be active in politics, participate, debate. So that is the only way they take us serious. Because if we remain like this, thinking that they will fight for us, they will not. They will load their pocket with money and forget about the rest. We want new leadership that in 10 years in the Congress, if they should resign. If not, that is the only way. Use your power of the vote and start from the grassroots, and ask the leadership to be accountable for your votes. If not, change it. That's my thoughts.
Good evening, everyone. The winds of change are upon us. We're moving in a direction to have the America that we like. America that's inclusive of all races, America that celebrates diversity, and America that embraces the other, the strange, the exotic, the foreign, the native. The America that was designed, that stated that all men are created equal and that they should enjoy liberty, justice, and freedom for all. This is the America that we're pushing the envelope of diversity to line up with the original ideals of the Constitution. So you see, our Constitution was written as a vision. It was not yet available, but today we're beginning to live as a nation the tenets of the Constitution. Good night.
Going after Teach is so hard. Everybody put their final thoughts well, and mine are going to line right up with Teach and Beast. Beast said, reserve your rights, and Teach said, was talking about our country being what we're supposed to be. I want to talk about obligation. in our Declaration of Independence, and I might be misquoting this a little bit, if you have the ability to stop tyranny or fight tyranny and defend the weak, you have an obligation to do so. Get off the sidelines and speak up. If you're in public and you see someone being treated crappily, say something. Speak on it. We're fighting tyranny together as a whole. It comes in all shapes and sizes. It comes in empty promises from our politicians. We need to get together and fight this tyranny. So if you're just sitting on the sideline because so-and-so said this and I'm not about it, like I said earlier in the show, don't take that shit to heart. They ain't talking about you. So get off the sideline. Sic semper tyrannis. Take it to the tyrants, and we know who they are, and we know what their just desert should be. Hit the ballot box, talk to people, educate people, ask questions of people. But like, Donnell said, make sure that question's worded properly, because if you come off as a prick, there's no coming back from a bad first impression. But follow your obligations as Americans and stand up for your fellow Americans who you know are getting treated poorly. Get off your ass and do something. That's my final thought.
Getting everybody up in here. Thank y'all once again for tuning into the show.
Yes.
You know what the question I'm about to ask y'all. Y'all know it's coming. Are y'all gonna be able to come on Wednesday?
Yes, I'll be here.
By the grace of God.
Hey, Donnell,
What's that?
I'll watch every show,
Mhm.
but if you want me to, I can come on Mondays because my wife's off work, so she can kind of watch our son. So Mondays would kind of be the day for me to come on. If y'all will have me on, I love coming on.
Of course.
Okay.
But I'll watch every episode.
Gotcha. All right. So this is, me.
Thank you, Dan.
I do a panel voting, and we usually do it offline, but now I'm gonna do it online. So have Dan on Monday. Say aye. Aye.
Hi.
There you go, Dan.
Thank you, guys.
Vote.
And teach. I love your hair. It looks amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for being a faithful participant in the show. And also this man, Keith.
Keith and Tommy.
Keith and Tommy. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, mostly thank you.
Yes.
And I used to work with them, so it's cool to have them watch the show. Thank y'all so much. Don't forget to tell your folks to tune into your show. We try to get a different view. Well, she just got off, but like different perspectives. And Mr. O, he loved it when I say it, so I'm about to say it now. We on the same sheet of music, but we playing different instruments. So there you go. So we got the bass player, we got the lead guitar. We even got the backup dancers. So I think me and Dan, we're probably the backup dancers. I'm on keyboard.
Hey, look here. This is the Dewey Cox band. Somebody in here gonna play the theremin.
Right. So once again, I thank everybody for tuning in. Once again, thank you to Dan.
There you go. So we got the bass player, we got the lead, we got the lead guitar,
Mr. O, to AKA Teach Anita Joe, and me as a host, Donnell Lamonte Morris. Thank y'all for tuning in. And don't forget to like our page, Lamonte Show, #FadeToBlack. Don't forget to like the show. We will be back on Wednesday. Thank y'all so very, very much. And also to my panel, thank y'all once again. We're outro. Enjoy the rest of your night or evening, wherever you fall under. So once again, thank y'all for tuning in to #FadeToBlack. We outro. Catch y'all later. Goodbye.
Bye.
Later.